So I
Tonight's
figured.
really a FERC meeting, so it's mostly.
So what is tonight? The focus.
The focus is the FERC has put on their meeting tonight.
Thank you, by the way.
The scoping meeting for FERC, so they're
That's
here
it.
to listen to people's questions and concerns.
All right. So what's your specialty? What do you know about the pipeline? If I was to ask you questions.
I'm the land manager for this project.
Now, would you be able? Do you have a list of the people that you've surveyed already in Pennsylvania, Susquehanna County? Are we able to get a copy of that?
No, you're good.
So who the route, and can you show us the route at all?
Maps behind
Showing
you.
the route that you've surveyed already.
No, we don't have those marked, which ones have been surveyed and which ones haven't.
Oh, you don't have that marked? You just have the proposed route, or how many?
We have the proposed route,
Yeah.
and we have alternates that we are proposed as well.
And how many alternates are on the maps?
All together, there's probably 16 alternates that we've looked at in total.
Really? Wow. For this, just Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania, New York?
entire project.
For the whole project? Do you know any environmental things, like if they cover it with grass, do they use herbicides?
We don't use herbicides.
So then,
We mow those.
Oh,
The right of way.
so you mow it, and the grass is there, and you mow it. Okay. And only grass will grow there. So let's say trees want to grow or other seeds. Do they get mowed down?
There's grass within the 50-foot right-of-way.
Yeah.
If the pipeline were allowed to go through.
Yeah.
And then the workspace that would be used, anything can grow back in there. So it's
Beyond the 50 feet, you mean?
within
Beyond?
the 50-feet area, it would be grass, and I believe there's some provisions for small shrubs. And I don't
Within
know
the
which
50,
they are.
oh, okay.
I don't know what those are.
Okay. And then beyond the 50 feet, you can have other things like trees or whatever?
Yeah, it's the only thing that would be under control after construction would be just a 50-foot by whatever the length is. So 121 miles
Yeah, right.
proposed, but it'll be something similar to that if it's done.
Now, what about, are you able to go through wetlands, only certain wetlands, or do you have to get a special permit? Do you know anything about that? You know that one? Okay.
But I do know after
Yeah.
the end of the project, we will do mitigation, land mitigation. So we'll.
And which involves what? Can you explain that? Land?
Mitigation is that I'd rather have a environmental specialist tell you about that, but I could tell you. Let me give you an example. We have another pipeline called the Gulf Stream pipeline.
Yeah.
As part of doing that, part of the permit process was that we would go and buy land that was similar to stuff that we went through as part of the project. That's outside of the corridor. So we ended up buying somewhere around 600-700 acres that were farmlands, abandoned, and we turned those back into wetland habitats. And we'll
You
do
turn them into
something-
wetland habitats, is that what you said?
Right. So something was once a wetland, a farm turned it into a farm, was abandoned, and then we turned it back into its original wetland. So
And-
I suppose we might do something similar on this, but again, I think our environmental experts would better explain it than I can.
So do you have any environmental experts here today?
No, because this is a FERC meeting.
It's a FERC meeting. So I know somebody giving a introduction from Williams?
I don't know. I've been dealing with all the maps and things like this
Okay.
before that starts. They've asked us to provide maps for any additional questions that landowners may have. And
Okay.
we'll have those till about 7:30 this evening.
Okay. So you're representing Williams then?
Yes.
And what is your name?
My name's Jim Wallace.
Jim Wallace? Okay. And you're a land
Yes, I'm the land project
project, what?
lead.
Lead. Okay. Well, thanks. I mean, what else can you tell people? I mean, you're here to give information. What would you tell people? What's your specialty?
Well, anything that has to do with survey permissions and leases, not leases, I'm sorry, easements. That's what we specialize in. So in dealing with general questions about the entire project, I'm able to answer that.
So if you're involved with easements, then would you know what they're offering for a landowner if they're willing to sign a right-of-way?
I would, but we actually have not made a single offer yet. We haven't decided
Oh, okay.
exactly what's that going to be.
So you don't know what it's going to be, the starting offer at this point? Okay. And do you know if it's a lifetime easement or the lifetime of the pipeline easement?
It would be a lifetime of the pipeline. There'll be an abandonment provision within that easement.
So how long is the lifetime of a pipeline estimated at this point?
It's indefinite.
Indefinite.
Right. For instance, we have Transco pipeline that's been in the ground for over 50 years, and it's being maintained, and so there's no perceived lifetime, end of lifetime.
Okay. Now, as far as any kind of possible leakage from the pipelines, is the gas going to have an odorant to it?
There's no odorant to this pipeline.
No odorant. So if there is any leakage, we will not be able to smell it?
No, it has no smell.
So why not use an odorant? What's the reason behind that?
I think my engineers would better answer that question. Mm-hmm. But I do know that leaks, if there's a major leak that occurs, the automatic pressure is going to detect that and shut that section down.
So it'll shut it down. Is that being shut down automatically?
Yeah, we do have automatic valve sites to shut down.
So you have some automatic, and do you also have shutdowns that have to be manually done?
They can be done in a variety of ways. They can be done manually. Mm-hmm. They can be done automatically. And they can be done at both the office that would be located in Susquehanna County. They can be done one at gas control that would be in Houston.
So you'll have an office in Susquehanna County?
Right.
So, and then also in Houston, you're saying?
Houston. We have gas controls in Houston. So that's manned 24 hours a day, and they would be able to detect those types of things.
So if the pressure changes, then you would shut down a section depending on where the change
is. Those valves would automatically shut off.
Do you know how far apart the valves are and how big the sections are?
On average, they're 15 miles, but we have not engineered the distances on this project since we do not have a route determined yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you feel this project is necessary because you have so many other pipelines crisscrossing New York and Pennsylvania?
My understanding that it is necessary since there's gas production in the Marcellus Shale from Cabot and Southwest, and that there is a demand in the New York and Boston markets. My understanding is that they could not get that volume of gas through any other means, and so this was the most cost-effective and reasonable way to get it between two markets.
What would be another way if it wasn't cost-effective to get it between the two markets that you know of?
I don't know that answer. But I do know that that question was similarly asked at the FERC, and that answer was provided. And I believe in doing so, it required going through new land to go and co-locate next to existing pipelines.
Right.
To get to those, you'd cross at least 100 miles, as I believe I read it.
100 miles of what?
100 miles of land to do that. So there was no benefit
to put it next
to existing pipelines.
There was no benefit, even if, let's say, cost was not a factor.
Yeah, even if cost was not a factor, I believe that there was no benefit. No fewer landowners would be impacted, was my understanding.
All right, and then I guess that's all I can think of right now. I thank you for your time. Okay.
Do you have any more questions? Let me know.
All right.
Some of the technical stuff I'm just not an expert, so our engineers and environmental folks know those a bit better.
Okay.
I'm working with the landowners.
Now, what about as far as compressor stations? Is there any right now being proposed along this 121 mile?
The only proposed compressor station is in Susquehanna County.
And do you know how large it is? How many compressors?
There's two compressor engines. They're 16,000 horsepower apiece. So it's total 32,000 horsepower apiece.
So two engine. And has that been filed for yet?
I don't know.
And that's the only one that's right now you feel is necessary for the whole line. You don't need one in the beginning.
I'm not an engineer.
You're not an engineer.
But the assumption is because somebody else is designing the line, engineering, that's what's thought through.
So you don't need one in the beginning of the line, like the beginning of the Constitution line in Brooklyn? You don't need a compressor station? Is that what you're saying?
It's not part of this project.
It's not part of this project. Even though I understand that the pipeline is near a compressor station or close in proximity to it.
So the product for a transmission line is pipeline quality pressurized gas. That is the product that is accepted into the line.
And this is considered a transmission line.
This is.
And right now you have the central compressor station being built. The Williams Central.
The Midstream Corporation is building the central compressor station.
And how close is that Constitution pipeline going to be to that compressor station?
I don't know the exact distance, but I believe it's pretty close.
Pretty close, meaning what's pretty close?
I don't know.
Within a mile?
I would
Within a
think
half a mile, quarter of a
I think
mile?
it's probably within a mile, but I couldn't say.
Now, who would know that?
I don't know.
So you're saying that the pipeline is going to start in Brooklyn, without being connected to a compressor station?
I don't know. That's a technical question that I don't know. I believe that the discharge coming out of the compressor station would go through a meter and regulatory station, meter regulator station, and then hook up to the proposed Constitution pipeline. Again, the point is that the pipeline is a transmission line. The product that goes in it is a compressed pipeline quality gas. For an example, as maybe perhaps an analogy, if you have a trucking company, that's a transportation company, right? So you transportation trucks from point A to point B. They wouldn't go to a factory and accept just random things. That would be boxed up and packaged, ready to put into the truck. I would say that is very similar to the pipeline accepts a packaged product that goes into the pipeline.
Now, the thing is, the pipeline, transmission line starting in Brooklyn. Where is that gas coming from? Is there like gathering lines going into that transmission line, laterals going into it? Where is it getting the gas?
The gas comes from the central Pennsylvania area. Again, that's a midstream question. I'm a pipeline person and for the...
Because it has to get into that pipeline to begin with.
Right, because in Pennsylvania, there's wells. The wells are hooked up to gathering lines. As gathering lines go to refinery and compression, and then are delivered through meter and regulated into the...
So there's a meter regulating station.
There will be 2 meter regulators for the gas coming from midstream to the Constitution pipeline.
So there will be a meter regulating station right connected to the Constitution pipeline in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And that meter regulating station is connected to a pipeline of some kind, which is connected to the central compressor station?
Yes.
So there'll be like a little lateral or something, a connecting pipeline.
Something like that, yes.
So meter regulating in Brooklyn.
Yes.
So that gas is coming from the compressor station to the meter regulating station, then to the Constitution pipeline.
That is my understanding.
That's your understanding?
Yeah.
So it's been processed at the compressor station there in Williams Central.
Compressed at the compressor station. I don't know the processing. Again, I would urge you to talk with either a midstream expert or somebody else.
Whether there's some processing there. And then after it leaves there, goes into the Constitution line, where's the next meter regulating station?
That would be at the end of the transmission line.
At the end of Susquehanna County?
Right.
And then that's connected to a compressor station?
That would be connected to a compressor station, and that would be connected into the Iroquois and the Tennessee gas pipelines.
So Iroquois and Tennessee coming out of that Susquehanna County area?
They're in Susquehanna County.
And nothing in between, you're saying at this point? And that 120 miles, there's no other meter regulating stations?
No.
Nothing else is being connected to that Constitution line?
No.
And then when it leaves and goes into the Iroquois, and what's the other one, Tennessee, you said?
Tennessee, yes, transmission.
Now, is it then the gas at that point processed sufficiently so it can go directly to where?
It needs no more processing.
No more processing, and then where does it go? Can it go directly to?
It's going to New York, the New York metropolitan area, and it's also going to the Boston.
And where does it go there? What kind of a station is there where it gets disseminated? Can it be disseminated to homeowners?
That's a question I don't know. I don't really know the answer to. But it goes to a city gate. It would be handed over to a company, and I don't know if it's the right company. It'd be like a Con Ed, perhaps.
Okay.
Something similar to that. That's what you would call a city gate. From there, they're the ones that would distribute it from there.
Okay. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.